Hundreds of thousands of shift workers depend on Delhi's transit network after dark. Navigating this dense, chaotic grid late at night is a daily reality, requiring heavy reliance on public and private transport moving through these streets. This timeline maps May 11th. A worker takes an e-rickshaw to the Saraswati Vihar bus stand. Without a phone, she approaches a parked sleeper bus to ask the time. She is forcibly dragged inside. The bus travels erratically toward Nangolpuri while the crime occurs. The perpetrators finally abandon her near the Nangolpuri metro station. She contacts the authorities, and Delhi police arrest the driver and conductor within 4 hours. This specific crime of opportunity reveals a severe vulnerability in the night transit grid. When commuters lack independent access to basic information, like the time or their location, they are forced to rely on strangers, creating moments of high risk. The immediate law enforcement response was swift. Delhi police seized the Bihar-registered sleeper bus involved and took both operators into judicial custody. On the regulatory side, the National Commission for Women took suo motu cognizance of the case, demanding a detailed action taken report within 7 days. The commission is requiring specific data, the exact Bharatiya Nyaya Sanhita provisions invoked, the forensic evidence collected, and whether the seized bus was even operating legally in the first place. While the systemic response happens after the fact, commuters are forced to pay an absurd cost, the vigilance tax. This tax is the heavy physical and mental burden shifted onto female passengers. Because systemic safety nets fail, the responsibility to independently identify and secure safe transport falls entirely on the commuter. There is a severe friction here. Shift workers have an absolute economic necessity to stay mobile at night, but they are forced to navigate a grid heavily populated by risky, unregulated private operators. Until law enforcement permanently clears illegal operators from the roads, a commuter's physical safety depends entirely on adopting proactive personal risk assessment protocols before ever stepping onto a vehicle. Public transport grids theoretically promise safety through regulation and visibility. However, the reality on the streets is the presence of illegally modified ghost buses operating in plain sight. When investigators examined the seized bus, they found specific physical modifications. The windows were completely black-tinted and covered with heavy internal curtains. As you can see in this interior layout, while operators claim these features offer passenger privacy, the actual trade-off is severe. It completely eliminates outside visibility, making bystander intervention impossible. The structural failures went further. The vehicle was operating with blocked or entirely missing rear emergency exits. The operational history of the vehicle is equally alarming. Investigators discovered the bus had accumulated over 80 prior traffic challans across Delhi and Bihar without ever being pulled from service. This scorecard shows the gap between mandated safety rules and the actual state of the vehicle, failing on external visibility. Missing emergency exits and ignored challan limits cross the line from standard violations into malicious structural design. The ultimate outcome of these failures is a vehicle design that grants the operator total physical control over the occupants while successfully evading external detection. The unchecked operation of a vehicle with over 80 challans proves that commuters cannot rely on the state to pre-screen their rides. Conducting your own personal audit is mandatory. To navigate this broken grid, you have to focus on the specific behavioral inputs required to output a safe commute. The primary communication vulnerability in the May 11th incident was that the victim did not have a mobile phone. She couldn't check the time, call for help, or share a live location. The first non-negotiable commuter input is carrying a dedicated, charged mobile device. Even a basic feature phone is enough. This requires the financial cost of the device and the mental load of keeping it powered. However, it entirely removes the dangerous dependency on strangers for basic information. The second input is the 5-second visual audit technique for any approaching vehicle. Before engaging with the staff, actively scan the vehicle. You are looking for transparent windows, open and unobstructed doors, and the visible presence of passengers. Finally, there is a geographic input. Boarding must be restricted strictly to well-lit, populated hubs like a major metro station, entirely avoiding dark zones. These immediate behavioral adaptations act as the most reliable firewall against opportunistic crimes, which rely entirely on isolation and surprise. Here is a flowchart for late-night boarding decisions. Start with the top node. Are the windows transparent and visible? If a bus has drawn curtains or heavy tinting, it fails the visual audit immediately, leading straight to a do not board decision. If the vehicle passes, check the geographic node. Is the stop populated? If you are in an unlit, isolated area, the safest outcome is to step back and wait for legitimate public transport. Adopting a strict zero-tolerance policy for obscured or isolated vehicles is mandatory. You have to accept that this guarantees frustrating delays in your journey, but it protects your physical safety. For the essential shift worker, the core recommendation is clear. Eliminate all reliance on external variables. Secure your own independent methods for timekeeping and communication. The strictest rule of engagement is to never, under any circumstances, approach a stationary private vehicle in an isolated or unlit zone to ask for information. The harsh reality of this trade-off is that the vigilance tax demands working women expend significant mental and physical energy just to survive a basic daily transit requirement. The ultimate commuter objective has shifted. True transport efficiency is no longer measured by route speed, but entirely by arriving securely. Until regulatory bodies systematically remove heavily modified, illegal ghost buses from the streets, prioritizing visibility and connectivity is the only reliable way to navigate a broken transit grid.